What's going on, my exotic family? It's your boy Trey. Welcome back to the channel. So like you can see in the title, today we're going to be talking reptile bans. Are they really necessary? Stay tuned. Alrighty, so welcome back to the video, guys. So like I said, we're talking reptile bans, and everybody is pretty much familiar what just happened in Florida. Basically, they passed a law banning 16 species of reptiles, and it's caused a lot of chaos in the reptile community, and it's crazy. It really is crazy. So the question that I have is, are they necessary? And I'm kind of on the fence about it. It really, for me, kind of just depends on the situation. And in Florida's situation, I personally don't really think a ban is going to work. Their issue is that there are so many invasive species, Burmese pythons, tegus, and they're tearing up the ecosystem, which is understandable. Something definitely does need to be done. However, I don't think actually banning these reptiles is going to fix that issue. They're to the point now where they're so established that I feel like they're always gonna have these animals there. I don't feel like they can fully eradicate these animals. They've been trying to do that for years now, and they are still dealing with the same issue. And among those restricted reptiles now, there's going to be Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons, scrub pythons, African north and south rock pythons, amethystine pythons, green anacondas, Nile monitors, tegus, and if I haven't mentioned already, green iguanas. Now, another reason why I feel like this particular ban put in place is kind of pointless is simply because it's going to kind of open it up more to illegal reptile owning, which sucks because people want to keep their reptiles. On the other side, as reptile keepers, it's been going on, for years, where people would have reptiles and eventually they're releasing them into the wild, and it's caused an issue where these animals are obviously thriving and they're breeding, and now it's to the point where these animals are just taking over. And I feel like that is unfortunately what caused this. The only thing is, even the responsible reptile keepers are now dealing with the consequences that live in Florida. I see a lot of reptile breeders in Florida, and it impacts their business heavily. And again, it's unfortunate for them because they are paying the consequences of someone who was very irresponsible when they took on this particular reptile and they couldn't handle it, or they got bored with it, whatever the case may be, and they decided to just let it go and be gone. One of my friends on Instagram shared this post. I'm just gonna post a picture of it up here, and it kind of literally depicts exactly, or it says exactly how I feel. So one of my Instagram followers by the name of Blushing Boa, actually one of my favorite Instagram accounts, so shout out to her. So it says, I support limitation of invasive species and preservation of our native ecosystems. In some ways, I support the ban on tegus, iguanas, and other large reptile species that are frequently dumped and let loose by irresponsible people. However, these laws are largely made by people who do not want us to have reptiles, period. They spread fear and biased information in order to make their case. If we do not keep lawmakers in check, our hobby as a whole is at stake. I believe the exotic pet trade should take more responsibility for their impact on ecosystems, both native and foreign, but to solely target reptile keepers is wrong. Standards for care are ever improving. It is not cruel or dangerous to keep the majority of species seen in the hobby. And I think that is probably the best I've ever seen anyone put it. I'm neutral. I'm not necessarily behind the ban, so I don't want people thinking I'm for them taking people's reptiles away. I'm not behind the ban, but I do think there needs to be some type of regulation on reptiles to stop the people who are making decisions like this to let their animals go, or who aren't properly taking care of their animals and doing things like that. Now, again, like I said, I do feel like there should be some type of regulation on reptiles. I'm all for regulating, obviously, for the safety of the animal, but obviously for the people who are doing it correctly, they should not be punished. But again, a community as a whole, we are all kind of dealing with it together. I don't know about you guys, but I am a keeper of big reptiles. I really enjoy big reptiles, so I can't imagine what the people in Florida are, going through, what's going through their minds right now. And it's unfortunate. Although I did read that for those that have current reptiles, they are able to obtain a free permit and they're able to keep the reptile for the rest of its life. However, after that, they can't get any new reptiles of those particular species. But again, it's unfortunate. But like I said, I understand both sides. Now, where I'm against the ban is simply because we have, these state representatives who are uneducated on these animals, and they're basically kind of making the rules for our animals, essentially. It does suck, but again, we are dealing with the consequence of people releasing animals into the wild for a very long time, and now everyone has to suffer the consequences. And even in New York, I know now they're trying to pass a ban where there's no importation of animals or exotic pets in general. In Texas, they're trying to also ban Burmese pythons. In South Carolina, they're also trying to ban tegus. So it is very unfortunate. However, we do need some type of regulation simply for the people that don't do everything properly, because those are the people that make it easier for laws like this to get passed, because they just give the government officials a reason to want to ban reptiles in general. To me, I feel like eventually the long-term goal is to stop us from keeping reptiles in general, and that's crazy to me. These animals don't really bother anybody. I mean, you got people, there's feral cats and dogs everywhere, but reptiles seem to be a problem. So again, as a community, we have to educate, we have to show the nicer side of these reptiles to get people to understand you don't have to fear them. And I really feel like that is that's where it all comes from. People are scared of these reptiles essentially, and they fear they have to fear for their life, and it's not the case at all. So definitely, guys, do your research. Make sure you're staying up to date on your state laws and doing everything that you can in your power to keep your animals properly, because you never know what can happen in your state. It could be any state next. You just never know. Unfortunately, even here in Ohio, my state, I hope they don't propose a ban like that. I mean, we have frigid cold winters. I mean, I post very often on Instagram. I've shown you guys my weather. There's no way any of these reptiles in here could survive a winter here. However, now they're proposing that reptiles could be responsible for the next pandemic, and it's just like they will say and do anything just to put a ban or pass a law and stop people from keeping these animals. But again, I do think we need some type of regulation. I just don't think banning reptiles is the solution, because it does not necessarily work. Now, again, I know this is a sensitive subject, so I'm not trying to offend anyone or anything like that. I really just wanted to kind of talk about it. Obviously, being a person in the reptile community, I have friends in Florida who have reptiles, and I just kind of wanted to speak my piece on it. So I'm not necessarily for this ban in Florida. I don't think that ban was the proper thing to do. I definitely think they should have come up with some type of license or permit system, maybe a testing system, made it, harder for people to actually just be able to go in and out and get these reptiles. Here in Ohio, you definitely have to have, a license or a permit. Let's say HOTS, venomous snakes, you have to, for one, you have to either have a certain amount of experience, and you have to take a test, or you still have to prove that you are capable of dealing with these animals. And even then, they have to feel comfortable with giving you that license, and it's not guaranteed. So I really feel like they could have opposed something better than just banning these people, because again, some of these people, their lives are dependent upon it. They have businesses that are basically selling and breeding these creatures, not to mention they're selling high quality morphs and things like that, and it's very unfortunate because they have to shut down, get rid of their reptiles, and go do something else, and it sucks. And again, I'm talking the responsible breeders that do everything correctly, that don't let animals go. They're not dealing with wild caught anything, and they're doing things properly. And it's unfortunate because Florida is like the perfect breeding grounds for most reptiles. It's hot, it's humid, there's a ton of water, and then there's crazy amount of food sources, so it's the perfect breeding ground for large snakes, large lizards, and ton of vegetation. So unfortunately, it sucks. Our government sucks, and we're just kind of having to deal with it. As much as I hate to say it, it seems like there's not much that we can do as a community. We definitely can make sure that we do a better job of, you know, educating people, but also stop releasing your animals into the wild. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't understand why you would do that. Not only is it dumb to the ecosystem if that animal starts breeding and everything, but it's just like, it's negligent and you cause issues like this. So I don't know. That's kind of just how I feel about it. Again, I feel like we could have done something, or they could have done something a lot better. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do apologize. It was, you know, it's a very sensitive subject, and I know it's a very controversial topic, but I just wanted to do a video on it and kind of give my standpoint. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram at DW Exotics, and as always, stay exotic.